So I'm trying something new with B2B Growth. I've been doing a podcast called The Crockpot for probably close to a year now, where I'm just documenting my personal journey, and it's really more for the legacy of it than anything else. I'm not doing it necessarily for marketing, which is why I don't talk about it a whole lot on social media, but it's really for my grandkids. I want my grandkids to be able to hear kind of what it was like as Grandpa was, starting his business as a 31-year-old guy, getting his business off the ground and documenting the ups and downs of it. And I want to start integrating a piece of that into B2B Growth as well. For now, I think I'm going to be posting these episodes on the weekends, so Saturdays or Sundays. And it's not necessarily going to be specifically about B2B marketing or growth from a revenue perspective. It's going to be more kind of personal development, what I'm learning, how I'm growing as a human more so than as a business owner. But obviously there will be a lot of business tiebacks because of how important business is in my own life, and so today's topic, I'm going to talk about this idea of forgiveness, and really just going to be sharing a story of why this has been a powerful thing in my own life. As some of you guys know, my dad left when I was very young. I was 2 years old, I think, when he left, and I had a very sporadic relationship with him growing up. He would, I would see him once every summer. Sometimes it would be a couple years before I would get to see him again. Just a very distant relationship. And when I was, I believe, 21, I was in college. He kind of hit rock bottom, and he came to my mom and basically said, "Hey, I don't really have anything. I just got let go from my job. Would I be able to stay with you?" And at the time, my dad was living in Texas and I was in Oklahoma, and so my mom offered him my bedroom since I had left and gone to college. So she had an extra room. And I remember her telling me that dad was going to be moving in, and my instant reaction being, no, like, how dare you? Like, he wasn't around, my entire childhood. Why on earth would you let him into our lives now? And, my faith is, very important to me, and my walk with Jesus is incredibly important. And as I kind of checked my initial reaction to my mom's response of letting my dad move into our house, I was just overwhelmed with this sense of needing to forgive my father for the absence of his presence in my life growing up. And the more I kind of pressed into that and prayed through it, after that conversation with my mom, just realized that, me not forgiving him and me holding on to that bitterness, wasn't helping anyone, and it wasn't helping my dad. It wasn't helping me. And so, made a very conscious choice to, at that moment, really, to let go of that bitterness and anger toward my dad, and to say, you know what, if he's going to come back into my life and he's going to move in to my mom's house, which was 30 minutes away from the town where I went to college, I'm going to embrace really trying to pursue a relationship with my dad, and in making that mindset shift to saying, instead of being bitter, I'm gonna choose forgiveness, and I'm gonna not just choose to forgive him, but I'm actually gonna try to pursue a relationship with him. Ended up being a game changer. That was about a decade ago now, and my dad in the past 2 weeks has since moved to Florida. I moved to Florida about 8 years ago, and dad stayed in Oklahoma. He eventually moved out of my mom's house and got into his own place, but he has since now moved to Florida after us having really a thriving relationship for the last 10 years. And I just keep thinking back about that story and about that season of my life where I could have chosen to hold on to that bitterness, and feeling very justified in doing so, honestly, because he bailed when I was 2 and really had no presence in my life growing up, and I had every right to kind of call him on that and say, hey, like you bailed in the most formidable years of my life, so I'm going to choose to not engage with you. And I could have done that, and looking back on it now and seeing the relationship that we've had over the last decade with him, now moving to Florida, he lives about an hour away from me now, and just being so grateful for God restoring that relationship, and even though I didn't have a dad growing up, to get to have one now, I think is something really special that I would have missed out on had I not chosen to forgive and really embrace a relationship with him. And I think the blessing that it is to him to now have a relationship with his son, and for me to have a relationship with my dad, I think is really cool. So I know I talk about relationships a lot from a business perspective, and leveraging podcasting to create genuine relationships between you and your buyers. And I think this is a really important, relational lesson, at least that I've learned, the lesson of forgiveness, and regardless of, how much somebody quote unquote screwed you over in the past, choosing to forgive them, and maybe, in your context, maybe maybe it's a little bit tougher to actually embrace pursuing a friendship and a relationship with that person. But I think getting started with at least forgiveness is a very powerful first move. For me, it's been incredibly beneficial, and as I've gone on to pursue an actual friendship with my dad now, well beyond just forgiving him, but actually having a relationship with him has been incredibly huge for my life. So hope that's helpful for you. If you hated this, then you can probably just tune out of the weekend episodes, because I'm going to be focusing more on personal development, my own story, how I've grown as a man and as a leader, more so than just talking about B2B marketing. So hope you enjoyed it. Thanks a lot.